So we have a clock ticking over there, so let's jump right into it. Maybe we do a quick round of introduction, and also as you're introducing yourself and what you do in your company, obviously, speak a little bit about why you think hospitality is such a core pillar as we're talking about growth in the kingdom 2030 and beyond. And maybe Fawaz, if I may, we start with you. We need a microphone, yeah. Makes it definitely easier. Here we go.
Thank you very much, Markus, and great to be here today. Fawaz Moumina, the country manager for Hilton KSA. In terms of the significance of the hospitality industry in Saudi, I mean, when we look at statistics today, 2023, the contribution of hospitality industry in the broader sense, and hotels are a big part of that as well, contributed 6.3% to the GDP. Vision 2030 targets 10%. And then there is a 1 million job target as well by 2030. So with all these jobs to be created going forward, obviously there is huge significance for the industry, creating jobs for the locals. In Hilton, we take pride that more than 50% as well of our workforce are Saudi nationals. And we will be talking as well about the programs and the career paths we provide, Markus, today.
Yeah, absolutely. Halil, over to you.
Thank you for having me here, Markus, today. So my name is Abdulhalim Awlia. I'm a regional operations specialist in NEOM Hotel Division. Regarding your question and the importance of hospitality in the kingdom, I think we must talk about Vision 2030, and we must say hospitality plays an important strategic role when it comes to the development of the tourism sector for 2030, and also the creation of thousands of hospitality jobs, especially for the Saudi young talents. If we want to have a strong future for hospitality, we need to develop this strong workforce and to build this foundation of young Saudis.
I mean, you're obviously the role model of what we're talking today, right? So great.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm young. I just hit 30, so I'm not sure if I'm considered young.
But excellent over career at NEOM so far. So congratulations. We speak about this in a second. I want to just finish the introduction round. Maybe Lars, from your perspective.
Yes, my name is Lars Eltvik. I'm the education advisor for Red Sea Global. I've had the pleasure of being part of that team now for coming up on 6 years. And much has been said, and I'm not going to be repeating that, but having looked at the development of the tourism industry, the new tourism industry that's coming to the kingdom, and in line with the 2030 vision, it's in many ways a new industry, and then the talent development to support that industry is so important. Just a few years ago, there was very little in terms of hospitality and tourism specialized education in the kingdom, and now it is really happening and moving forward. And I think we have clearly killed the myth that hospitality and service industries is not attractive for Saudi nationals as we're moving forward. So I'll say a little bit more about that later, but it's very exciting times for tourism hospitality.
And we saw the impressive numbers, right, in the presentation earlier about Red Sea Global, so excited to hear a little bit more. Luis.
Yes, Luis Nicolás Barrios. I'm Regional Manager for Innovation, Education and Investments in the UN Tourism Office here in Riyadh. We have a regional office here, and together with our colleagues in Madrid, we contribute to the effort of capacity building, mainly in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism. So already some programs that we can discuss, but in general, we are on the side of capacity building in order to populate this industry that we need to tackle through so many angles. So, yeah.
So we have corporate, education, NGO, governmental, right?
International, yes.
Great panel. So, Halil, coming back to your point earlier, I know 30s, we're probably looking also talent in a younger age, and education is a part of this. I'm just interested, like from what are you hearing in your family, from your friends about hospitality? Is this an industry people want to be part of it, heard about it? or is there some work to be done? What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, I mean, so I've joined NEOM, and specifically NEOM Hotel Division, like almost 3 years ago. And it's a privilege to be working among, the best in the industry. I've shadowed and learned from a lot who are actually the best at what they do. So what I've observed and learned, from them, and just hearing from what people want from hospitality is, so I can summarize it perhaps in 3 points. First one being travelers' expectation. Today's travelers, they want to stay in more than just a place. The normal travel today has become more complex in their needs, and they demand more experiential experiences and memorable, unique experiences. So I believe what we're doing in NEOM is trying to is to work around those experiences with more form of technological integration to allow us to create those memorable experiences for the guests, for our guests. And I think hoteliers need to take this into account and to work with the operators and the owners for this integration to happen. Another point I would like to talk about is technology. Technology at the moment is huge, and how we can utilize AI. So everyone now is talking about AI, and I believe it's going to be our best ally in how we use it. AI can be used, for example, as easy as check-in and check-outs, but also real-time recommendations for guest experiences. And lastly, human centricity. I believe what we do in NEOM Hotel Division and work day in and day out revolves around people. Everything we create, from concept creations and hotels, is creating something out of the ordinary that revolves around people. So those are the 3 points what I have observed from my peers working in our division, and what we're trying to create for the future for NEOM.
I mean, you make an interesting point, which made me think, speaking about AI technology, which is a good message, I think, for young professionals coming into the industry, because it's not only the traditional, what people maybe have as a perception of hospitality, right? It's the creativity, it's the technology, there's so much going on, human-centric, bridging it to technology, which is, I think, is very attractive. So it's an interesting point. Fawaz, from your perspective, how do you obviously get talent into the organization? And I think more important even is not only addressing them, bring them into the team, but how you retain talent, right? And then grow them within a large organization such as Hilton.
Thank you, Markus. When we look at our pipeline, 17,000 rooms that we expect to create 15,000 jobs.
You need a few people, right?
Absolutely, it's a big mission, let me say. And our strategy has been always about, being visible in the right places, connecting with the job seekers, with the potential job seekers, the youth. We are there in the online environment, in all career avenues, campus recruitment, mobile-enabled applications. So to the point of my colleague Abdulhalim, absolutely right, we need to be there. We need to do more, certainly, in terms of raising awareness about the great career opportunities that this industry has to offer. It has a wide range, obviously, of all jobs. So whether you are an engineer, finance, or an HR, or even a hotelier, in the core of the business, you can have a place and you can contribute to that mission. So we are visible, we connect with the youth, we try to promote the industry. We have a unique season every year called Careers at Hilton Life, where we go out to the public and the universities and promote Hilton and promote the industry. So that is in a nutshell, literally.
Thank you so much. We want to hear a little bit more about the programs and the challenges around it, but let's quickly hear from Lars on from the education training side. And you said you're 6 years now in the journey of the Red Sea Global, which is, you saw it from day one, basically, right, to now. What's the evolution, speaking about how you work towards cultivate hospitality for Red Sea Global. And obviously, as Fawaz obviously rightly said, is like if every work you guys do helps the industry in Saudi Arabia, right? So, Lars.
Well, in many ways, we are very fortunate with all the media and all the noise around 2030 vision and all the giga projects and what is happening. So a lot of that promotion and marketing is done for us by the wider community in hospitality and tourism. But when we started, 5-6 years ago, and the first programs were created, as my colleague mentioned, the head of education who had a presentation earlier, 5 years ago there was not too many applicants interested in hospitality. And now when we launched the last round of vocational programs a few months ago, we had 500 seats, and in 4 days we had more than 54,000 applicants. Not only in hospitality, but across tourism, security, hospitality, IT for hospitality, and so on. So it started with that, and now, as my colleague explained earlier, we're working with a number of quality partners in the kingdom, what we call the decentralized approach, where we're working with the best partners and we're aligning the programs with the needs of the operations. But we see that moving forward, continuing doing that, we also need to create our own sustained pipeline. So in February, we launched the Red Sea National Academy, which we are forming now. It will open later this year in Al-Wajh, which is located right in between the first two projects of Red Sea Global, Amala and Red Sea. And this will be a tailored facility. So we will there be able to accommodate in housing close to 1,000 students. And we will have our own housing compound for students and faculty, and then a facility that will be tailored for not only hospitality in terms of rooms division and the typical stereotypical hospitality, but wider, because we are kind of building a city within the country, or a country within the country, with all the services supporting hospitality as well. So we will have continued programs in airport operations, in health and wellness, particularly for Amala, which will be a wellness destination. In retail, luxury retail, we will have a lot of retail. Tourism security, with a stronger focus on tourism than on security, obviously with security in the new and forward-thinking way. And then doing this in very close cooperation. So we, as education, we are not creating the programs. We are sitting with the operators of retail, health and wellness, sports and entertainment, and asking them, what are the competences, what are your needs? And they create a program. We make sure that it fits within the qualification framework of the kingdom, so that the students will get the academic currency that go along with it. So on the one stream, we will have these vocational programs, bringing young Saudis into the industry and guaranteeing them jobs. But by creating this center with faculty and trainers and experts from around the world, and a lot from Saudi as well, who will be there, we will also be able to support the wider audience of the Red Sea Global staff with what you would call L&D, with lifelong learning, career path training, short courses, executive training, regardless from where they come from. And in addition to that, we've continued to support the local community with a community center where the locals can come in and take short courses, learn about job opportunities, educate themselves, run entrepreneurship and incubator workshops so that they can develop their own businesses and help growing the region. So we have a lot in the pipeline, and we expect that we will open later this year and grow to 1,000, 1,500 full-time students by the end of next year. And then the future will show where we take it with the Tresna, the Red Sea National Academy, 2, 3, 4, and 5 down the coastline.
The numbers are very, very impressive. But one thing you just said made me think. You spoke about how does this tie into retail? How does this tie into infrastructure? Because obviously, yeah, you need to build a whole. It's not a typical hotel opening where you do a few trainings there. And here, I think what's all fascinating here in the kingdom is we're not just talking about the future, we're building it, right? So I assume that you don't have a curriculum out there. You can just plug and play, right? You have almost to build your own curriculum for everything you're building there, right?
To a certain degree, yeah. There's no reason to reinvent the wheels. There are a lot of good wheels out there, but we need to fit them into the context of Saudi Arabia, in the context of Red Sea Global. So we are working with some educational partners that have very good programs, good bones, so to speak, and then we will be working with the operators, with the destination to tailor these programs, and also to try to work them into being more tactical programs. You don't necessarily need a 2-year diploma to be a barista. You don't necessarily need a 2-year program for a lot of these professions, but you need academic currency. So if you take a shorter qualification, you can continue later in a stepping stone approach, and even to continue into a bachelor's degree and master's degree and beyond for those who are interested in that. So we have a very strong focus on the industry, the operations. They are sculpting the needs, and they are coming to us with their needs, and then we are helping to build the programs with them, but it's their programs. And they take the responsibility also for following up, guiding, supervising, guest teaching, internships, placement, rotations, and so on. So it is very, very exciting, and we are there right in between these two major projects, and with unique opportunities for Saudis. And with the enthusiasm of the students, and some of them are in the room who are already studying in one of our partner schools, it's amazing to see.
Oh, wow. A round of applause. I think that's fascinating. Luis, I know you a good time now here in the kingdom, not 6 years, right?
No. I arrived in 2022 in summer. I'll be 2 years.
2022. From the programs you initiated, you already worked on or working on or launched or have in the planning, what's kind of the few you wanted to mention?
Okay, so I wanted to latch on a little bit in this how to entice talent and retain it, and this is something that we are also very mindful of. And within the UN Tourism, as you may have heard, education is a priority, and one of the things we've tackled as a petition from the member states is to develop our guidelines onto how to implement tourism in high schools. So we start showing kids at an early age the possibility to develop a career in tourism. This is something that we consider that is the first step to be able to have at least an interested baseline of students or talent that may be considering a career. And then we need to be able to provide a clear career paths. And this is something that already needs to be considered. If there is let's say a not so favorable image of certain jobs in a certain context, working with that at an early age and even with the parents is a good idea, you know. And then also you already touched upon that. I used to say that in a context where tourism is the main generator of GDP, almost it's easier to say what's not tourism than what is tourism, because everything is contributing to this economic activity. So to understand that in a context like that, you can be working in the tourism industry, although you may not be aware of it. So working in tourism, you may be a technology provider, you may have a dry cleaners, everything that is happening in a context where, let's say, 80% of the GDP comes from tourism, is actually tourism. So that's also something to be mindful of. And the adaptation, let's say that you work in marketing in an oil company and you want to go to tourism, the adaptation is easier. So we need to be able to delineate these transfer paths from one industry to another, capacitating people and adapting them like we do with the trainers, for example, for faculty, so that you get the necessary skills, but to utilize your capacity and your skills obtained previously. So that's also two things that I wanted to touch upon. And specific to what we're doing here in the Kingdom, we have a very fascinating project with the Ministry of Tourism. We're developing for them online education. So we have our Tourism Online Academy, which is available for everybody globally. And in this academy, we're developing by sponsoring, the Kingdom is sponsoring the development of 10 massive online open courses. And for those courses, they have, and take a note of this, unlimited scholarships. So everybody that reaches out to the ministry will get the opportunity to get a certification in these courses. There are short courses, self-contained and self-paced, so that we're talking about upskilling and reskilling. It's not that you're going to get a diploma for it, but it's a way to, again, to be capable of updating your skills and be able to stay up to the latest advancements, and also bringing in the perspective that we bring, the UN perspective, the sustainability perspective, and so on. So that's one of the main initiatives that we're working for. In the Kingdom also, we're part of the tourism, the Riyadh Tourism and Hospitality Academy. And that's something that is right there to be launched, although it was announced in September, but very soon it'll be operating, and also a fascinating project.
Great. Yeah, I think we all fascinated by this. We all agree that education is a core pillar in our future growth here. Question, are we all agreeing on that? Is anyone in the room who says, I have figured it all out, education, training, we're good? No. Is that a hand of... No, this is a photo. Yeah, okay. So we all agree this is a core pillar in our work. Fawaz, you mentioned an interesting point saying everything we do is important for Hilton, but obviously it's important for the kingdom and the country. Are there any best practice collaborations, industry-wide, governmental-wide, you can call out for us here to either we haven't heard about it or we can participate, or what are you seeing, what really worked?
Certainly. I would like probably to mention our collaboration with the Human Resources Development Fund. In Hilton, we are keen to support local talent employment in the private sector. We've been partners with HRDF for so long. I must appreciate all their efforts and the subsidies they are providing. That was very helpful, really, in helping us, improve our local talent representation through various programs. And secondly, the Ministry of Tourism Human Capital Development Program, whereby they send the Saudi talent abroad to Europe to study hospitality courses at the most reputable universities. We have more than 400 registered. Out of them, more than 200 completed their courses and came back. So these are a couple of very important initiatives. Also, Maharat program with the Ministry of Labor. Our partnership through an MOU with the Ministry of Labor that resulted in hiring more than 70 people of determination in the workforce. A very important aspect of our effort towards the society as well. So these 3-4 initiatives, Markus, are really major for us. And I reiterate from that stage our appreciation to the HRDF and the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Labor. These partnerships are vital, not only for Hilton, but for the industry. I wanted to reflect on the retention part that my colleague Lewis mentioned as well. In addition to the job and career aspect, which I agree one of the most important, providing best-in-class programs and offering the career growth or the promises, to the talent to retain them, there are other aspects we worked on. Probably many of the audience or the colleagues know that Hilton was named as the best workplace for the last 8 years in a row in Saudi. And 2016 to 2018, we were in fact the best workplace. However, it's not really about the ranking, but it's about the effort behind the ranking. The idea is that we work on communication as well. So we ensure that we have open communication channels, and this team members, we call them, are heard and are, I would say, engaged in building the mission and the vision of the company in Saudi Arabia particularly. So this is one aspect. When it comes as well to our competitiveness, we always review, not necessarily remuneration only, but we're talking about the whole ecosystem, work facilities, in terms of also attracting women today. So we were able to more than quadruple our women talent representation in the workforce in the past 5-7 years. More than 20% of Hilton Saudi Arabia today are women. So I think it's a complete ecosystem between job and career, between, comp and ban, work environment, communication, and so forth.
Very, very fascinating. Want to go back to one point which I realized in the last couple of months. which is, I think, a big advantage is and Halim kind of touched on it, is the technology piece, where I think the advantage here is also, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like even in the smaller towns, not only in Riyadh, everyone is kind of connected somehow, right? There's mobile phone connectivity, which is a big plus, right? And it's in many countries where education needs to pick up, it's not the case, right? So also thinking about how can we leverage even, or maybe you're already doing it, but how can we leverage more technology, connecting with talent, retain them, and then grow them, right?
I think, when you look at the country today, 80% are below 40, 60% of Saudi are 30 years old and below. And even the older generation are all connected to those smart mobiles. So we did several of efforts, I would say, on that front. Firstly, on common sense, we wanted to make sure we speak to them in the same language. So if you go jobs.hilton.com today, you will find a completely Arabized and localized to the Saudi culture website, careers portal, mirroring in English with pictures of team members and hotels from within Saudi. So what you see is real Hilton Saudi Arabia. That's the first step, the content, local content. Second, enabled on the mobile with artificial intelligence support, those potential job seekers can create profiles, and then they can probably choose their career aspirations or preferences. This AI within the portal sends automated messages to them regularly on jobs that might match, which is a common trend today. And there are several tools as well. For example, when it comes to automated interviewing, we are mindful of hiring managers, busy schedules. We are mindful as well of our potential candidates, aspiration and eagerness to hear from us. So we are able as well to schedule dozens of interviews online, automated via, agreed questions, and we can still screen all of them by the help of AI against certain qualifications, and the system gives me or give the hiring manager the successful ones. So you can imagine how AI also and technology is playing a great role in enlarging our talent pool, which is a necessity again for the pipeline going forward.
Halim, did you use technology a lot in obviously growing your career, and then obviously also moving forward, growing into senior roles? Is that something you find helpful? Are there any mentorship programs you're enjoying already at NEOM? Is there some best practices from your perspective you can share?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm working with hotel development, with NEOM Hotels division. I mean, we have a dedicated team who's working in technology, and we have Autonomous, our technology company, that we're working closely with to develop technologies and so on, tools for our collaboration with international educators to develop curriculums, but also technology in the hotels that will not only help us to streamline the guest experience and journey, but also eventually it will help us to streamline hotel operations, which eventually will allow the hotel employees to have personal connections with the guests. And that's what's important to us here, is to use technologies in a way that will help the employees, but help the guest to have a great experience in the hotel.
I love that, because often there's this misperception out there, oh no, technology is taking away the human connection. How can we use technology as an enabler, right, in order to empower everyone to have a better guest experience, to talk to guests, have a bit of knowledge back of the house, be efficient, have something really that goes into guest experience, right? So I think that's often the misperception. Lars, obviously massive success so far at Red Sea Global. What are the challenges you still see, being 6 years in, you want to overcome in the next couple of years?
Well, it's still early days.
It's still early days.
And vocational education, which a lot of this is a challenge. Not only in Saudi Arabia, but around the world, the perception of vocational education for your children is still suffering. Not only here, I've had the pleasure to work in many countries and on different continents with this same area. So we need to make the professional, the professions that comes out of vocational education attractive. And this is where we are trying to have a full circle approach in Red Sea Global, that we are not ending the involvement of the education and training when the students graduate and become our colleagues. We continue to work with them. And we have a unique opportunity with the tourism industry being fresh in the kingdom to start with carte blanche, to learn from challenges and mistakes from other parts of the world. And as you're saying, my colleagues here are saying as well, making sure that the jobs are attractive, that we have good programs for career succession planning, lifelong learning, that the young people who graduate, and Saudi young people are incredibly hungry for success, hungry to grow, and we need to provide them with these opportunities. And as our industry is 85% rank and file and supervisory staff, we need to be able to provide opportunities for them to grow and to make the jobs interesting, to grow horizontally, and as well to grow vertically as they're moving on. But we need to work closely with industry and get industry on board to fully take that responsibility, because after all, the tourism product of Saudi Arabia needs to have Saudis working in frontline and in all roles to make the product authentic. So challenge number one, I say, to really make it trickle through throughout the industry.
You might be able to build it, but you cannot live it, right? So in order to have a sustainable environment product moving forward, 2030 and beyond, it needs to be the values of the country and the destination, right? It's so important. I guess, Luis, for you, working with the private sector is a huge part of your work, right? Is there still work to be done? Is that already established? How you feel about that?
Okay, so we work in different areas. Not our area is innovation, education, and investments, and within the innovation department, what we do is we promote entrepreneurship. So there we're engaging with the private sector at the level of actually where it's composed in the tourism sector. 80% are SMEs and small and medium enterprises. So we look at the very big players, but then again, you need to tackle also the little ones. And for them, there are things that can be done, such as establishing common quality standards. There was an experience that we had in Spain that was to develop what we did the queue of quality, which was a quality standard that was verticalized within tourism for the different subsectors. So you could have the quality, the queue of quality as a destination, as a DMO, or as a hotel, or as a restaurant, or as a B&B. That makes you that you first of all, you adhere to certain quality standards, certain procedures, and efficiencies, adding sustainability and whatever thing that is relevant within the culture or the region. And also you have a common brand, so you can adhere to that, and there's brand recognition, and say, okay, so if that establishment has this brand, I, as a customer, know that I'm going to receive a certain quality of service. So this is something that is a good opportunity to think about developing at this stage, because it will be widespread for the whole sector, and not only relying on the tourists or the visitors, recognizing the big names of hospitality and accommodation.
I don't want to mess up with the program. I'm looking for Fatima, but it's the last session of today. Is there an opportunity to get questions from the audience as well? Yeah, is that possible, Alil? Can you maybe while you're going with the microphone, because last session, if there's questions, such an important topic, please raise it. Raise your hand, and Alil has a microphone. In the meanwhile, obviously, Future Hospitality Summit. Fast forward 3, 4, 5 years from now, we meet again. Halim, what would you think we call success when we speak about education, when we speak about making hospitality an exciting industry for young professionals here in the kingdom?
Yeah, I think similar to what my colleagues here said, there's a lot of hunger for hospitality. Looking back to 2013, when I first started, no one knew about hospitality from the Saudis that I met abroad, and but creating career paths that are very exciting, and then how we capitalize on that excitement and career path, similar to what NEOM is doing with the GROW program. And I'm a live and prime example of a program that takes you freshly after you graduate, puts you on the workforce for 1 year through rigorous development with your team and also some specific vocational training. But talking about the future of education, currently we are exploring ways of using, Vision Pro or and technology tools to assist with education, and something that's fun, unique, and new that will enable the students of the future and the workforce of the future to immerse themselves in the hotel environment to make it easy for them.
I love that. Yeah, Apple Vision Pro, Meta Quest. I think that's all super hopeful when we're moving forward in education. Do we have any question from the audience so far? Any hand? Anyone is brave? Fawaz, just maybe 3-4 years from now, what do you call success?
I love that question, Markus, by the way. And just thinking spontaneously, certainly more vocational schools available for the Saudi youth, more Saudi talent within the culinary and F&B. This is something I would imagine. More representation when it comes to, technical jobs. I would see them as well in, other cities, Red Sea, NEOM, Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, supporting, the feeder industry, the feeder services, as Lewis said, everywhere within the ecosystem. Certainly, I would love to see Hilton at least doubling or probably, our footprint in Saudi. And this is really I would say, the image I have in my mind when it comes to that picture in 3-4 years' time.
With your leadership, I think that's happening.
Thank you so much.
We'll be running towards a 0 here on the screen. I want to wrap up, and one thing which I think for me personally is very important is when we speak about hospitality excellence, can we carve out a hospitality excellence that has the Saudi values integrated, right? We're not just taking the textbook from outside. Yes, there are some best practices obviously we want to implement, and as Lars was saying, we don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time, but it's just something that really will define the Saudi version of hospitality excellence. Lars, maybe I start with you.
Well, I think that, the Saudi excellence and excellence, seeing that we get the outcomes that we are trying to achieve with what we're doing in training, what we're doing in education, and seeing then 3-4 years from now that excellence is proven through a high retention of graduates from the different programs around the kingdom, not only ours, but from the different tourism and hospitality programs that are happening now, because there are many in the pipeline and many operational, that we see the excellence because young Saudis are making it into leadership roles and become the ambassadors for future generations. And like I said, we have a unique opportunity here with a huge demographics of young people coming into working life now as all of these projects and all the cities are developing for this new industry. So seeing Saudis growing into leadership roles in 3 or 4 years proves that we are getting close to excellence.
Right. Luis, I must ask for a quick answer if it's possible, because we have already...
Yeah, I think in 3 years, 5 years' time, success will be that Saudi Arabia is widely recognized globally as a very attractive and very interesting destination to visit. Instead of going to Europe and having your friends and so on, thinking going to Canarias, going to Mallorca, or going to Bahamas, having people thinking, oh, let's go to Saudi Arabia.
Great. Fawaz?
I love this one as well. I think, let me close with this, Artis, in my mind. Hospitality has been always in the DNA of the Saudi people. You ask for help, you go to someone's home, you will feel it. And it's only right that, in the Saudi Arabia destination, as Lars said, Saudis are serving. It's a business of people, as, some of you said, serving people. Saudis serving our guests. And hopefully, as he said, one day we see people, we see them today coming to Awlia, for example, another day NEOM or Red Sea or even other cities, and the future is bright.
And Halim, I wanted to finish with you as the role model with your career at NEOM, your vision moving forward on the Saudi hospitality.
Thanks, yeah, thanks. Like Fawaz was saying, DNA is hospitality is a huge part of our DNA. You know, by nature, we are very hospitable, generous, and we take pride when we are hosting families and friends in our homes, but also how we can transfer this pride into our professional lives and career, and just being our authentic self when we are creating concepts, welcoming our guests in our hotels. To me, if we can really tackle this part of transferring this pride and passion into the professional career for young Saudis, I think we're going to have a huge success in the future.
Passion is such a key word, right? You need to hire for passion and then you train skills. A round of applause for the panel here. I think it was very fascinating. Such an important topic. Let's keep the conversation in the corridors and obviously in the events tonight. And then I hope we see each other then really in 3-4 years and speaking if we probably overachieved what we were talking today, right? Thank you.